We are live. Even now, I'm like, because sometimes it delays going live, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
it does.
is it live? Is it
Yeah.
live? But we are live.
Hi,
Yes, my name is Anthony,
I'm Gabby.
and we are coffee drinking voice actors. That's
Indeed.
right. So it is good to see everybody. Happy Wednesday. Can you believe it's Wednesday?
It is Wednesday.
We had 2 snow days in a row, like I'd said, and then we had 3 though, because we had and then they're calling for another snow
Crazy.
day, or they're calling Sunday. It's supposed to snow,
I don't
and then it's
understand how you're
supposed
getting
to get
all
down to
this snow. This
18
is so
degrees.
weird.
This is so weird. It's supposed to get down to 18 degrees on Sunday night, and then not get above freezing at all on Monday.
Please
And
don't
then
go outside.
and then what the craziest thing is that Friday's the last day of school
Yeah,
before
don't
2.5
go.
weeks of Christmas.
These kids are just going to be off. they're just
I
done.
can't go. Because I remember
call
teaching, because I taught for 12 years, and during this time of the year, it really literally is. Yeah, like people are like, why are they doing worksheets and stuff? Trust me, there is, or like, why are they drawing work? They are
can't
so
get them to
far
focus.
gone.
Yeah.
They're so ready for break.
Yeah, they're like, boop.
But anyways, sorry, it's good to talk to you all and see you. Well, Gabby, please give us an update on your dog.
Oh, Mr. Willie. Yeah, he's home. He's home. That's the good news. He was discharged. He is 75% back to normal is what I would say.
Right,
Something's still definitely not 100%, but we're no longer in like danger zone,
Right.
So he's here, he's resting, and we're monitoring, and fingers crossed it is not super serious and he's gonna bounce back fine.
Well, that is good news.
That's where I'm
It's
at.
something. I know it's still wild and strange, and
a little bit.
Thinking
It's
about him, but I'm glad that hopefully he's going to bounce back.
Yeah. So. Thank you.
All right. So, now moving on to our topic today. I posted a video earlier, and I was like, Gabby, we should talk about this. And I want to talk about what I called. I don't know if someone else started. I just know I thought I came up. It's called your money voice. And the reason why I came up with this, or I started saying it a while ago, was because I did not have a voice, or at least at the time, where I was booking any work. And I spent a summer. I told a story here on this channel before, working really hard trying to figure out how to come up with something that would get me bookings, some sort of voice style, So I spent a summer just researching what other people were doing, and getting, seeing what other men my age and so forth were being hired for.
Yeah.
And I will say manipulated or worked on my voice to create a style that I put out there. And I'm not kidding you, it became apparent very quickly. I mean, almost overnight, where it was turned around, where people were all of a sudden interested in my voice and my voiceovers. And then when I eventually changed my demo using that voice and put that out there, then everything changed. And we had a wonderful conversation about it last night in our Acting 201 class for VO Journey Academy. And which, by the way, on a side note, is opening. So all of our classes, including our 201s, and we even a 301 and stuff for our advanced stuff, as well as our 101s, they're all reopening again for January of our new semester. So super excited. So if you're looking to join, sorry, I got a shameless plug here. If you're looking to join,
good time.
This is a great time to join. We got the new semester coming up, and it's really, really exciting. So anyway, so we were talking about that, and I thought it'd be a good topic for us to discuss, because if you are right now having trouble booking work, there's a marketing component to all this, of course, and then there's your acting component. And I kind of want to talk about the acting component today. And that's the money voice is what I'm talking about. So I'll get to want to get your thoughts on this, Gabby, in a second here. But the idea again behind this is your money voice is the voice that makes you money. That's how I came up with that.
Yeah, I mean,
money, right?
Yeah.
So again, I used to, and I know people are gonna laugh, but when I first started, I was very forward in my voice style. So a lot of what I talked was like this. It was very forward, and this is how I spoke, forward in my voice. And I was excited, and you can hear it. It makes me annoyed now listening to it. But so what I did is I worked really hard to put it in the back more back of my throat, like I was having more of a conversation, relaxed,
Yeah.
not pushing and being really excited,
Yeah.
and forward. But I was always trying to be excited because I was like, I'm a voice actor and I got to try real hard and do all kinds of stuff. So and it was interesting. I had to go through a whole, like, I don't know, a whole journey of
Yeah,
months of
we
just
do.
trying to explore that little forward and in the back. I mean, and understanding that delivery was what people were looking, or what at least potential clients wanted from
Yeah.
people like me. And so all of us have to find that money voice.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Gabby?
I think you got lucky. I don't think most people are able to boil it down to something so precise. I think there's a lot of factors that go into finding the money read, the signature sound, for most of us. And it does take time. And I think the first thing is letting go of that, that expectation that we all hold on to of what we're supposed to sound like, because that truly is the thing that for many of us is what holds us back. When I listen back to some of my old stuff, I always feel like I was trying to be too pronounced. I was trying to be too proper, right? My diction was too perfect. I was, unwilling to relax, basically. It was just, I took it too seriously. And that can be a problem for some people. Now, other people make their living being too serious, right?
Right.
This is where there is no one right answer, and it's so broad and it's so varied for each of us. I think about Steve Zern Kelton is a voice actor I've known for years, and Steve is the Law and Order guy. Whenever you hear the introduction to any of the Law and Orders, that's Steve, right? So he made a living doing this, right? And he found that place of,
Yes.
eerie and sinister, but still somehow a little bit approachable, and it's what he does. That is what he does, and he is phenomenal at it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
there's other people, right, who think like, I want to be that guy, but then they do that and it just doesn't work.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree completely with that. And so for me, and it's just because I was talking to Gabby again before we started about the money voice, and I was telling her about, like, my money voice I found to be different, almost completely different than what I was doing at the time. Meaning, like, the delivery, the feel, the
Yeah.
style, it was completely different. At
Yeah.
the time, at the beginning of my journey, I was very announcery. I was very shiny. I call it shiny and
Mm.
shimmering. I was speaking too darn good. If you ever heard that, like, and what
Yeah.
Gabby was just trying to say about being
Yeah.
articulate or articulate, you know. And then as I went through, I started to identify a couple things. So let's talk about that, at least for me, and maybe people can relate.
Okay.
Is that okay? So some of the things I started to identify, I'm just butt in anytime, Gabby, is that one thing people my age, or at least men my age or a little older than me, I noticed that a lot of the people that were getting booked, and I heard and stuff on a lot of stuff, had first a little glottal in their voice. So they had this little rattle, like
Yeah.
this wisdom, like they've been through hell and back, and they're just beat down, and
Right.
because that's all, give them this, it's just this kind of
Right.
feel, right? So there was that. Then I started feeling that at the time I was talking excited, so I had a higher pitch voice like this, and they did not. People wanted a lower pitch voice from me. They wanted lower. I mean, again, from a male my age. So okay, so then I have a couple things I've noticed that we want a lower voice. They want this scuttle. Then I noticed too that I was actually doing opposite. I was going slow in my reads, but then not pausing. So I was slow. I was minimizing the pauses, but going
Okay.
slow otherwise.
Okay.
And I realized what they really wanted was me to speed up more like a conversation, but then don't be afraid to take the moments to pause, to let the idea sink in. Right. So I started to identify all of these little things and piece them together to create this money voice. right? And then literally I came out of my shell and said, I'm going to improv a spot for my demo. I'm not even going to write a script.
Right.
So I improv. So I get in my booth, I close my eyes, and I'm on top of this hill coming out of my house, looking over the pasture, watching a Ford truck drive, right? And I got a cup of coffee in my hand. And this created I call it my personal iconic. I call it my iconic read because it has been the staple of my demo. All the demos I've changed, I've never changed it because wherever I go, wherever I put it, people to this day say, I want you to do that spot, that
Mm,
voice, right?
yeah.
And it all came from this idea of, that was, I hear people being booked by doing that. I hear people being booked by doing that. And remember, I'm a character actor.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there's another thing about, I will admit, in all fairness, I've been an actor my whole life and I studied acting. So I've been trained to work on imitation and how do I do those kinds of things and change my character. So it became a
Yeah.
character for me.
Well,
Right, Gabby, you're like, what do
I
you think?
believe they're all characters. So
Yes.
this goes back to the conversation of how sometimes clients go, just be yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what is that? Right. You don't know me.
You don't want that.
You don't know
That's
me.
my answer.
No,
It's my answer every
exactly.
time. I'm like, you don't want that.
Exactly.
If I bring me to the table, if I actually told you or reacted the way I truly feel about whatever this performance is, you're gonna hate it. Okay.
Right, right.
So we're never us. That is the, so that misnomer, that idea of just be yourself, it's total
Mm-hmm.
BS in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And I do think, yes, even our best reads, the reads that are supposed to sound the most natural, the most like us, they're
Mm-hmm.
characters.
Yeah.
But it's also ascertaining the fact that what they are saying though is we do want someone who sounds natural and who sounds you. So something I've done with people, and it's funny that you kind of did the same thing. And I do this a lot with people on their demos, is sometimes I will do a piece on people's demos scriptless
Mm.
for the
Mm.
exact same reason, to
Mm-hmm.
capture something a bit more raw and a bit more real. And so what I will do is I will have the person I'm working with, the voice actor, pick a product, right? Pick something that they've
Uh-huh.
bought that they really like, they really enjoy, and just tell me about it.
Right.
Just tell me
Mm.
about it. No script, no nothing, just riff. And honestly, for so many people, they find that natural timbre and tone that way. So, yes, go off script, spend time on your microphone just talking,
Oh,
just
yeah.
being human, and see what happens. Because I would venture to say you're going to find that one
Yes.
of, if not your ultimate right money read, is in that somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. Another thing too that I noticed during this time, I also started my podcast. And one thing that became very evident to me is that I was having problems, and I know this is nuts. If anybody, okay, if anybody has this problem, please put in the chat that you have this problem. I was still scared, basically, to
Mm,
speak into nothingness because
right.
there's this ding microphone here. Like I was scared half to death.
Yeah.
And I still got up to it and I'm like, I'm now in front of the microphone, and I don't know where that came from. I always made the joke, you'd be
We
on
all do it.
stage, right? You'd be on stage and somebody walks out stage, and they go on stage and be like, I'm on stage, and then they walk off stage like, hey, how'd I do? Was I okay? And you're like, what in the world was that?
It's
Right?
not any different than the same thing happens to people in front of a camera. Like, right, we all have that one family photo where everybody's going,
Right?
there's some really like unnatural smile. I love the people who
Yeah, you
just
can
go,
just like
yeah. And you're like, you don't smile like that. Why are you doing that? And it's the same thing. The minute the camera, right, the device, the
oh yeah.
technology comes into the picture, we overthink it. We overthink. It's why for so many people, their best photographs are always candid
Oh yeah.
because they're unaware, and that lack of awareness actually makes for the best product. It is
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
And for a lot of performers, I'll be honest, Anthony, I've for years I've called it the fuck it factor. That's
Oh, I
that's what
like
I
that.
call it.
I
It's
like it.
yeah, it's because you
Yeah.
get to a point where you just go, fuck it. I don't care. I don't care
Did you get
anymore,
to that?
right?
Okay, so I love that you brought that up because I remember clearly. I remember it was my first house when I first
Mm.
started,
Mhm.
right? I remember clearly when I got that feeling. It was the feeling that I'm exhausted getting in front of my microphone and
Mm.
feeling uncomfortable narrating. I wanted to feel because I felt that everyone else didn't feel this way. It was just me. All right,
Hmm.
which is stupid. I
Hmm.
know now I know, but I felt like, why do I feel uncomfortable every time I start to narrate? Like I felt that I was trying to find my voice. Does anybody ever have anybody else done this where there was a period of time where I was like, every time I started to narrate, I was trying to find a
Yeah.
voice.
Yeah.
I was trying to find how
Yeah,
I
because
was going to do
it
it.
was a placement issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that
Um,
was exhausting,
it
and then
is.
finally I was like, "Screw it, I don't care how this sounds." I went through this phase where I'm just going to narrate. I'm just gonna
Mhm.
talk,
Mhm.
and then that was where, it was like the whole say it or what is it? Tell me, don't sell me,
Right.
which is
Right.
I heard it from what's her name? The acting coach out in LA. Anyways,
Oh, there's
forgot her
many
name.
of those.
Um, Nancy Wolfson, is that right?
Nancy, yeah.
Nancy. So I
Yeah.
read Nancy. I'd seen one of her videos, and she was like, "Tell me, don't sell me" for these
Yeah.
like short ads,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuck with me, right? Just say it. But then I
Mhm.
got this weird feeling like, well, if I just say it, no one's gonna want. I mean, they're paying me. I gotta dance in this thing here, And then it was the absolute opposite. So I like what you said, the F it, right? Because it's so funny because then you're saying
Mhm.
people actually want you to do less. It feels
Yes.
less sometimes, right?
So one of my mentees that I worked with for a number of years, she was here in my office. She was an assistant for me and I trained her in voice acting, and her very, very first voiceover, her first paid job, I will never forget this, right? She went in and she had all these expectations and all these ideas of what it was going to be. And the client kept going, pull it back. Shelly, do less. Pull it back. Do less. Do less. Do less. She walked out of the booth 20 minutes later, right? Literally, she had this blank expression on her face. And I was like, hey, you did it. Like, you got your first job. And she was like, I didn't do anything.
Yeah,
And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "I didn't do anything. They
yeah.
kept asking me to do less and less and less." She's like, "I really feel like I didn't do anything." And I'm like, "Congratulations."
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is where the whole idea of your money voice comes in. It's our discovery of what we in particular, because it's going to be unique to every single person, what we in particular do, right? That other people enjoy, they want to hear, they want to hire us for. It's
Mhm.
going to be different.
Mhm.
It's going to be different. I have some people in the comment section saying, like, someone said, I had an issue with their current audiobook gig. They're doing a Southern accent, and then they finally said, F it, I'm just going to do it. And the rights holder loves it. Who knew? I remember too, this is an interesting thing because I started doing this. Have you ever tried this, Gabby, where try to narrate something or do something like with some extreme emotions, but not in extreme delivery? So what I mean by that is to say, all right, be a little angry.
Oh, yeah.
So
Sure.
and when you and then what's wild is when you listen to sometimes you'll be like, holy crap, that was amazing. And you're like, I didn't get the angry feel, but
Mhm.
yet it came across like you had a purpose. Like it's
Mhm.
interesting
Mhm.
how we like in our minds something. That's why I like to do work with voice actors to say, what are you trying to do? And now do it for me. And let me hear if what I think you're doing is they match up.
If they match up,
Mhm,
absolutely.
mhm, and a lot
Absolutely.
of times it does
They
not.
don't. They don't.
A lot of times, most voice actors are literally the same.
Yes,
The
and that's a
same thing.
big
Oh,
learning
yeah.
moment for a lot of us.
Mhm.
Other things that I tell people to do, I'm like, first of all, if you've never done it, have a couple of beers, have a drink, and then go on,
I love it.
right?
Loosen up. Loosen
Yeah,
up.
for the people who are like, I get on the mic and everything
Warm-ups
else,
are great too, Gabby.
just
Warm-ups work really well to loosen
absolutely.
yourself up in a
But like,
routine.
if you're really, really feeling like you're struggling with a stiffness, yes,
Mhm.
get into a slightly altered state and then approach the mic. You'll
Mm.
be amazed. Another thing to do, and this is something fun that a lot of voice actors have never played around with. Listen to voicemail messages that you leave other people. Like after the fact, like maybe your spouse or your kids literally go, "Can you play me that voicemail I left you?" Because you're gonna
Hey.
hear,
Oh, I like that. I like
you'll
that.
hear how different you
You
are
sound, yeah.
in that a place where again there's no expectation. You're
Right.
just talking. You're just
And that's you know what? And
yeah,
you know what that made me think of, Gabby? That made me think of that's probably why we're so taken back when we hear those voices. Think about the actors over time over the last 20 years, right? Where we could think of some really famous ones who they played their voicemails and how like we
yes,
were all taken back, like what they sound like that, and then also they're that
yeah,
way. They're totally
yeah.
completely different.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
wild.
and we're just really, yeah, we're just taken back. I like that idea. It was kind of similar to the idea when I was on a tech side, when I was like, take your audio into your car and use Bluetooth and play your work through your car radio to hear like how does it sound on a radio, like on a device
Yes,
instead of just right in your studio. And you'll be like, holy crap, that was a big aha moment for me on a side note.
for
Because
sure.
I sounded like there was so much bass because I wasn't rolling off. And I was like, you find all these things. That was another huge
Yeah,
reason why I wasn't being hired, I'm sure.
yeah. There's
So
a
much stuff.
lot. There's a lot of factors, but the sooner we start to explore it, the sooner we get
Yeah.
feedback on it, the better. This is one of the things I do in my commercial classes with
Mhm.
with actors too, and I do it somewhat in marketing is having the group peer lead. Hey, tell me what this person sounds like, right?
Mm.
Here, read this piece of copy. And now the collective
Yeah.
gives you a description of your voice, tells you what age range you sound, where they would place you. And it can really, really be eye opening for people.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really is. And just like in acting, when I say to actors, you wanna be a better actor, go watch acting,
Yeah.
right? Go watch plays, go
Yeah.
watch acting, analyze it.
For
Same thing
sure.
with voice actors. If you wanna be a better voice actor, you wanna find your money voice, you
Absolutely.
gotta go listen to voice actors, and then you need to listen to them, and you've gotta compare and contrast. One of the
Mm-hmm.
hardest things teaching actors and acting in general
Mm,
is we are this is a subjective type of field, right? Because what I like might be different than what Gabby likes.
right.
So, when you're and then vice versa, same thing with you as a voice actor. So it's important for you to be able to work through that compare and contrast with yourself versus other voice actors. So like what I was saying in the beginning about I found these like 3 or 4 different things that were seemingly the same across the board that I saw men getting hired for it from my age. And then I listened to what I do and I would recognize that is not how I sound. Okay. And I really, and I go back. I really do wish I could go back and get some of those early commercial spots and play them here. I would be happy to play them for everybody because I can't even sound because it used to be like, you want a Nike ad? Like I used to sound like a little, I don't even know how to, I mean, it
Well,
wasn't even,
hey.
and then that sounds actually kind of good if I was doing a character. It sounded like that, but very scared. so, I mean,
I think tomorrow, if we continue this topic, I think
yeah.
tomorrow we could talk about competitive analysis,
Ooh, I
how
like that.
to do a deep dive into other voice actors and
Mm.
figure out where you fit in, like you're talking about. I think that that's a great idea.
This is such an
Yeah,
undertaught and undervalued skill
for
that
sure.
and we do this, the critiquing. I mean, I spent so much time as an actor
Yeah.
critiquing myself and other actors. It was a constant thing
Mm-hmm.
because that's how you can learn how to do it yourself. I love that idea. All right, everybody, thank you so much. We had a wonderful audience today. You guys are
Yeah.
amazing. Super excited. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. See you all then. Check out VO Journey. Bye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.